My stalker had made my life a living hell for months. It all began when he sent a message telling me to look outside, where I found photographs of myself in my garden. Over time, he escalated his harassment, leaving threats on my doorstep, sending me more pictures, and even entering my home to move my guitar to a different room. Terrified, I went to the police, but they refused to act, citing a lack of evidence. Left with no other choice, I decided to turn the tables and stalk him. He was always lurking near my apartment, my favorite coffee shop, and the gym. So, I started following him too. He shadowed me to the grocery store, the park where I jogged, and the local library. I mirrored his every move, determined to learn his routine and uncover his motives. Despite his constant stalking, he never noticed that I was now stalking him. Through online digging, I found his identity and began documenting his activities meticulously. I followed him to work, bars, and even his home, parking a block away and watching from a distance. I realized he was a sad, lonely individual with no family or real friends. This didn't make him any less dangerous, but there was something profoundly sad about watching a man drink alone under a bridge at 3 a.m. Despite my stalking, I made sure to maintain my routine so he wouldn't suspect a thing. One night, around 2:30 a.m., I followed him to a sketchy spot near a bar. He carried a heavy duffel bag into an abandoned warehouse. I snuck in and watched him meet with some shady individuals. My heart pounded as one of them spotted me, and I fled, hearing gunshots whizzing past me. I ran into the woods, losing them in the darkness and rain. Despite the danger, I kept collecting information about him. He wasn't just stalking me, he had a history of harassing others and ties to underground groups involved in substance dealings. He was a deeply disturbed man. I had enough evidence to expose him but struggled with how to proceed. His stalking eased slightly, but the occasional threatening note still appeared under my wiper blades. I decided it was time to confront him. I waited until he was alone and cornered him near a private club. With my heart pounding, I told him I knew everything: his harassment, shady dealings, and acts of violence. I threatened to expose him if he didn't back off. For the first time, he looked genuinely scared. He promised to leave me alone, and for a few months, he did. I started to relax, thinking the nightmare was over. Then one night, I woke up to the sound of someone breaking into my house. He was back and furious. We fought, and I managed to subdue him, calling the police. When the police arrived, he threatened to press charges against me for stalking him. Terrified, I agreed to drop my charges. We met at a coffee shop to discuss our situation. What was supposed to be a tense meeting turned into an unexpected conversation. We shared how the past year had affected us both. He admitted that stalking me was a twisted way of coping with his own demons, and I shared how his actions had turned my life upside down. By the end of our conversation, we reached a strange sort of peace. We agreed to drop everything, the information I had and the charges, and to never see each other again. In the weeks that followed, life slowly returned to normal. I rebuilt my routine, shedding the paranoia that had gripped me for so long. One day, I saw him sitting on a park bench. My first instinct was to leave, but he waved me over. We talked, and he mentioned he had started going to therapy. It was strange, but in that moment, I felt a sense of closure. We were both trying to be better. As I got up to leave, he said, "See you around." I replied, "I hope not."